10 Star Wars quotes that are pure, absolute genius. Number 1 is Undisputed. Across its nearly 50 years, the Star Wars franchise has presented some of the most genius quotes. The result of some very impressive writing and storytelling, Star Wars is so much more than just a mythic space opera spanning generations of heroes and villains. It's also a commentary on politics, the nature of good and evil, spirituality, legacy, and more. Keeping that in mind, it's fun to look at some of Star Wars' most genius and profound quotes. The franchise is full of iconic lines like, "No, I am your father," or "I have a bad feeling about this." However, this Star Wars list will focus on some of our favorite pieces of writing that we feel are particularly poignant. 2016's Rogue One is easily one of the best Star Wars movies, particularly in the Disney era. Likewise, Rogue One was also our first introduction to Donnie Yen's Chirrut Imwe, a former guardian of Jedha's Kyber temple whose trust in the Force was as deep as the strongest Jedi masters. Chirrut's most famous quote is his mantra, "I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me," a line that has since been echoed elsewhere by those seeking to find confidence and trust in the Force. However, one of Chirrut's most genius and profound quotes is one of his first, shortly after meeting Jyn Erso and identifying her Kyber necklace. "Despite being blind, the strongest stars have hearts of Kyber." It's a beautifully poetic metaphor symbolizing the strength of those whose hearts are in the light, like Jyn herself. One of Qui-Gon Jinn's first, and only, lessons to Anakin Skywalker. This quote is also one that has been echoed elsewhere beyond The Phantom Menace, repeated as a key Jedi lesson in general, most recently heard in Skeleton Crew. While it may seem simple, it actually holds an impressive philosophical depth. It's all about the Jedi's core principle of mindfulness, as Qui-Gon was trying to teach Anakin that he could reshape reality and his present experience depending on what and how he chose to respond. It's also a good lesson in real life. We can choose to remain on the negative things in our life, or we can place our focus elsewhere for the sake of greater peace and presence. One of the best quotes in Revenge of the Sith, Padme Amidala is utterly defeated by Palpatine's speech to the Galactic Senate, having announced his intentions to reform the Republic into his very own empire, and the resulting applause his proclamation gained. This was due to the years upon years of manipulation on Palpatine's part, having gradually corrupted the Senate, so that by the time he took away their freedoms and liberties in full, it was actually welcomed and viewed as an act of benevolence. As such, it's quite a poignant commentary on how fascism's dark power to infect and rot the ideals of democracy from within. A key message George Lucas was very intent on sharing via the Star Wars films. While this is one of Luke Skywalker's most famous lines, it's also one of Return of the Jedi's most genius and powerful, as it's all about legacy. Refusing to give up on his father despite his corruption to the dark side, Luke never stopped believing in the good within Darth Vader. Turning down Palpatine's offer to make Luke his new apprentice, the son of Anakin Skywalker throws down his lightsaber and commits to his Jedi path, the same path his father once walked and could still walk again. Luke acknowledges his father's Jedi past with this quote, fully inheriting his legacy at that moment, while also believing in Anakin's redemption simultaneously. One of the most famous Jedi lessons of all time, Yoda's "do or do not, there's no try" line in The Empire Strikes Back is another piece of deceptively simple yet genius writing. Calling out Luke for his hesitation, Yoda impresses upon his apprentice to commit and trust in his ability to lift his X-Wing with the Force. Try is uncertainty. Do is commitment and the belief in success. When it comes to mastering any skill, belief and follow-through are just as important as the effort itself. A more recent Star Wars quote heard in 2023's Ahsoka, Grand Admiral Thrawn's first live-action quote, is all kinds of genius. It's darkly poetic, speaking to Grand Admiral Thrawn's uniquely sharp intellect as a master tactician, while also highlighting the threat his return to the Star Wars galaxy will bring to those who defy him. It represents his strategic patience, having been in exile for nearly a decade, while also foreshadowing everything he plans to do in the future. Likewise, Thrawn's calm delivery and elegant tone also make the line just as impressive as the words themselves. Objectively, one of the best moments in the ever-controversial Last Jedi, Yoda's final line while sitting with Luke is incredibly well written. A poetic reinvention of the student has become the master. Yoda goes further by making it clear that one student should always become more than what their teachers were. The mark of a good teacher is that their students will evolve well beyond themselves, a truly beautiful Star Wars quote, and one of Yoda's best. It's especially poignant considering both Luke and Yoda's established struggle when it came to letting go and stepping aside, allowing new generations to take up the baton along with the change/evolution that comes with them. While Luthen's entire monologue can't be beat in the entire Star Wars franchise, this one section particularly hits hard. One of the best pieces of Star Wars writing ever, the monologue communicates volumes about Luthen's life, and his acknowledgement that fighting such large and oppressive systems as the Empire always requires a heavy cost on the soul, while the reward ultimately comes to future generations. It's a dark yet truthful concept. The cost of meaningful rebellion and resistance is everything, and never really missed with its impeccable writing, and it's actually quite astounding. Beyond Luthen's monologue in Anda Season 1, we also had Nemik's manifesto, which he gave to Cassian Andor before he died, inspiring Cassian's gradual evolution into a true rebel. "Oppression is the mask of fear" is an absolutely genius Star Wars line, one that voices the simple fact that those seeking to control and force their will upon others are full of fear themselves, fearing that they'll one day lose their accumulated power and authority, hence the desperate need for control, and the continual tightening of grips. Likewise, it should be obvious that this is not an idea restricted to the galaxy far, far away, by any means. All one has to do to see real-life examples is turn on the news. In the same vein, it's hard to deny that Mon Mothma's public speech defying the Empire in Anda Season 2 is not one of the most genius pieces of Star Wars writing, especially right now in the Star Wars galaxy. The loudest monster is Emperor Palpatine and his power to control narratives, rewriting reality by force and burying the objective truth, like the Gorman massacre. Remarkably, this line works just as well in real life, considering the challenging current events we're currently facing. Objective truth is indeed becoming harder and harder to find and keep. It's also worth noting that Anda's commentary being so poignant to the real-life present has nothing to do with the show itself, and everything to do with the unfortunate cycles of history, and real life simply catching up.